Hey everyone, welcome back to In a Pinch with Hitches Zen. I'm Hitches Zen from snuffhouse.com. All names have been changed to protect the innocent. I'm going to apologize for the big gap in the middle of our Schmalzler series, but it's been a crazy busy week and I just haven't had time. This weekend got some free time, so I'm gonna shoot a bunch of videos, put out the last two Schmalzler videos this weekend, and release the rest of them throughout the week, so there isn't such a gap. Anyways, so I told you we would be doing two Bernards and two Pöschls. We already covered the two Bernards, the Irischer and the Doppler Fermentiert. And today, starting with you can kind of see it, the Pöschl. If I straighten the bag out a little bit, Pöschl Schmalzler A. I've seen this referred to as Schmalzler A Brazil, but on the bag it just says Schmalzler A. Pöschl Schmalzlers versus Bernard Schmalzlers. All Schmalzlers are a coarse grind, but comparing the two, Pöschl is a much coarser grind than the Bernards. The texture is a little different too, where with Bernards you get kind of a fluffy, gosh, I don't know how to pronounce it other than fluffy texture. Pöschl Schmalzlers are actually kind of gritty. It feels kind of like wet sand. And when I first ordered, gosh, like a gang of Schmalzlers, when I got to the Pöschls, and I think the first one I tried out of the Pöschls was the Doppler Roma. That texture kind of turned me off to Pöschl Schmalzlers because the texture of Bernards was a little more comfortable to me. In the nose, there's really no difference texture-wise. It feels just the same in the nose. It's a little harder to get into the nose. To me, the stuff is heavier. Because on top of being a coarser grind, it also I don't know enough about the Schmalzler industry to be able to tell you, but they use something different to hydrate the Pöschl Schmalzlers than they do to hydrate the Bernard Schmalzlers. I know none of them use animal fat anymore. They all use various oils. So out of whatever array of oils there are out there that people are using, Bernards and Pöschls use different mediums. Anyways. Outside of that, one thing that I really dig about Pöschl versus Bernards is the portions you can get them in. Now, most Pöschls you can get in 100-gram bags they're cheap for the price. I think like $4 or $5. Again, it probably would have been a little more professional of me to check online before starting the video. But hey, we're rolling now. But yeah, $4 or $5 for like 100 grams. I got this months ago, and there's still quite a bit of it left. The Doppler Roma and the Sud Fruit are gone. Although in the next video, which will be the final Schmalzler review for this mini series, I'll provide links below for some of the better reviews of both Doppler Roma and Sud Fruit. So Schmalzler A. So Toke snuffs, when you take away the flavor that's been added to them, all have the same basic smell, same old Goss snuffs. When you take away the scenting medium, there's a typical smell that characterizes them. Old Mill snuff. When you take away the scenting, there's a scent that characterizes all of it, which actually I.D. Bowman put up Bananas Foster review the other day, and he mentioned the same thing with Old Mill. He said especially when he uses the butter, there's like a characteristic Old Mill smell. Every brand's like that. As far as the Schmalzlers go, with Bernards, heavy on the figs and dates. With all three of their Schmalzlers that I have tried over time, the Bernards, Doppelfermentiert, the Bernard's Eitelbayerischer, and the Bernard's Brazil. They all have subtle differences, but they're still like generally that figs and dates thing kind of overruling. Pöschl is kind of an exception, and I'll be honest, the only Pöschls I've ever tried are the Schmalzers, but their Schmalzers are all pretty different from each other. They all have a sweetness, but it's a different kind of sweetness. And then outside of that, they're all very different from each other. So today we're talking about Schmalzler A. In the bag, yeah, it's coffee and cocoa, and it's not brewed coffee. It's fresh coffee. Like when you open a can and stick your face in it, like that smell. In fact, before I started the video, when I was getting my thoughts together, I thought about it and I was thinking, well, this doesn't smell like Folgers or Hills Brothers or one of those coffees. It's that like really deep, rich kind of smell. And I went and grabbed this to compare it. Chevalier house blend, and smelling it, that's the fresh coffee that I got with the Schmalzler A. Yeah, like this with like a dry cocoa, like almost cacao, and a heavy sweetness. Now, where the Bernard's was, I mentioned it was more of a fruity sweetness, like figs or dates. This actually almost does border on like a candy sweetness. Oh man, it's really good though. It's really good. Even if you don't like snuffs that are sweet, I don't like sweet snuffs. This will be a different experience for you. All right, so I'll put some in the nose, and I mentioned that the Pöschls are a lot heavier and harder to get up, so I boxcar them, and I boxcar them off a spoon. So I take like enough per nostril at a time, which I quite a bit. I mean, get the camera to zoom in on that without letting it drop. Now I'll show you the boxcar. So I usually take enough for one nostril at a time. Because like I'm basically gonna line this up with my nose and just like honk it up as hard as I can. But I put never lined up. Yeah, about that. Like one heap in boxcar per nostril. There's one. And do the same thing. It's really clumpy. Same thing for the other nostril. Not too bad that time. All right. In the nose, it's basically the same thing. It's coffee and cocoa and sweetness. There's like a woodiness in the background too, like maple wood or something. Yeah, but mostly coffee, cocoa. The sweet actually isn't as strong in the nose as it is in the bag. But coffee, cocoa, and wood. Yeah, like maple. That's definitely like a fresh maple. Yeah, so it's good stuff. It's really good stuff. I recommend it. And I said it before. You guys can watch all the reviews you want. If you're gonna try Schmalzlers, they're cheap for pretty massive quantities. I'd just randomly pick a few and grab them. If you like one, you're gonna like all of them. If you don't like one, you're not gonna like all of them, with the exception of Cernecker Staubinger. That is not for everybody. That was one that when I tried it, it was just overwhelming with the cedar smell for me. It was really interesting. And I thought about drying it out and mixing it with things experimentally, but then I thought, I'd be messing with what it was meant to be, and I'll bet there's someone else who could enjoy it. And I think I traded it off to somebody. It was one of those things that was it was really entertaining for a while, just because I'd never had a snuff that was like stuffing the cedar planks in my nose. But then after like 2 weeks of using it, it was too much, and it was starting to like dry me out and irritate my nose and irritate my throat. But yeah, so with the exception of that, if you try one Schmalzer in life, you're gonna like all of them. So I recommend just put in an order and order boatload, everything you can find, and if there's a Schmalzer that you don't like, let me know and I'll take it off your hands. All right, well, I got some pipe tobacco drying out to load up, and some dishes to clean, and after all that, I'll go ahead and record the next Schmalzer review, which will be, yeah, you'll find out. It'll go up tonight, anyways. You can watch these back to back. A quick note on the Pöschls. There's a lot of schools of thought on how to best store these. One person is a strong advocate of putting it in half-pint mason jars. Other people like keeping it in wooden boxes. There's people who believe that keeping it long-term in wooden boxes actually improves the flavor. There's people who think that it'll dry out if you put it in anything. All I've done is, it comes in these bags and they roll up, and when you first get them, there's a piece of tape that goes over the top and seals right there. I peel the tape off it, and then going forward, just fold the top back up and rubber band it. And believe it or not, this stuff is so oiled and so moist that it never dries out. Like I said, I don't know how long I've had this, but I've had this for a really long time, and it's as moist as it ever was. I don't think Schmalzers go bad. But yeah, so that's my review of Pöschl Schmalzler A. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any comments, questions, rants, suggestions, hit my email. See you below, boxandpipe@gmail.com. In the meantime, you guys have a great night. Happy Halloween. Salud.